I'm doing the brakes on the 2016 Honda HRV. I'm on the rear right now, and I'm not going to do a complete video on this because the brake should be simple. If I run into any complications, I'll bring it up. But basically, there was a 213 mil socket or nuts and or bolts, and you have to use a 17 mil wrench to hold it so you can open that caliper. I don't know what size caliper mount yet, most likely 17, but for now I just took that off, and I'm going to take this off and see what happens next. Before I forget, this is the electric park brake system, so as far as I know, this should work just fine. If not, you can apply reverse voltage on this to retract it. As far as I know, I don't know if this is any different. Like I said, if I run into any problems, I'll bring it up. Other than that, it looks like this is just a standard brake. Also, it was really hard to take that screw off. I had to use that right there. I used the impact, the hammer, to hold it on there and hit it with the hammer, and that's basically how I was able to take this off. So that's a very useful tool to have. Well, I ran into a problem. Looks like the caliper doesn't want to go back, and I tried the special tool to spin that in. That didn't work either. I'm sure it needs a special diagnostic tool to retract the actuator inside the EPB, but I tried with my diagnostic tool. I couldn't do it. I'm guessing you need a more expensive diagnostic tool. So I just saw a YouTube video, believe it or not, and I saw them taking the motor off. So there's two torques on two sides. They're T30, and once you remove it, there should be another torque to retract it. So let me pull that out. After removing that screw, those two screws, I pull the motor out, and the motor is splined like that. But interestingly enough, T47 fits in here, and I will be turning it, I think, I forgot, maybe clockwise. The guy said, let me try it and then get back to you. Turning it counterclockwise pushes the piston out. Turning it clockwise retracts the internal mechanism. So the instruction is turn it clockwise for as far as it goes, then that's it, it stops. Then just use a C-clamp to push this in. So once you do that, just do everything in reverse. Put the rotor and the pads back in, and then lubricate all the hardware and reinstall the motor. And then after everything is reassembled, actuate the EPB a couple of times, and that should take care of the problem, I hope. Quick update. So I did retract the actuator inside, then I press the caliper in with the C-clamp, then reinstall the motor, then I replaced the rotor. I added some lubricant, this, to the sliding part, and I replaced this hardware right here, and I'm going to install the pads and reassemble it. Shouldn't be so bad. Brake pads are in place with the new mechanism. Looks like they move around well. For some reason, inside one's a little bit tighter. It was tighter in the other one too. I'm not sure why, but still moves around. So I'm gonna guess that's how it's supposed to be. Now I'm just gonna slide the caliper on top of that. I'm gonna need both hands, but that should be the end of it. I just confirmed. After I reassembled it, I went and pressed the brake until I felt it getting hard. Then I engaged the EPB, electric park brake, and the right side engaged really quick, like one turn. This one turned like 5 times, and then it engaged, and then I just to release it. That's it. So it re-tightens itself. And I tried turning the wheel, and it was working fine. So that's it. That's how I replace the rear brakes. I just finished the rear brakes, and I torqued everything down. By the way, this was 13 mil, and for the back, the torque spec is 17 foot-pound, and caliper mount bracket bolt was 17 mil. This is 13 mil, 17 foot-pound, 17 mil, 80 foot-pound, and the front brakes are just regular run-of-the-mill standard front brakes. So the caliper bolt was 14 millimeter, and the torque spec for that is 37 foot-pound, and the bracket is 17 millimeter. The torque spec is 80 foot-pound. So the caliper bracket bolt is 17 millimeter for front and the back, and the torque spec is 80 foot-pound. And for caliper bolt is 14 millimeter in the front, 13 millimeter in the back. Torque spec is 37 in the front and 17 in the back. And the lug nuts are I think they're 19 millimeters, and the torque spec is 79 foot-pound. But 79 and 80 doesn't really make it that much of a difference. But those are the torque spec for all the brake parts basically. And I think this may be the end. I'll do a quick video after I'm done with changing both of them. All the brakes are done. Front left looks good. Left rear. Rear right. And front right. It didn't really need to be done. It could have gone another 20,000 miles, but it's better to get it done. So that's it for the brakes. Now I'm going to replace the headlights.